big weekend coming up in the Premier League. The title race is still on. The relegation battle is still on. The race for the top four is still on. And two teams, one fighting for the title and one fighting for a chance to break into the top four. Liverpool and Tottenham is the headliner. Liverpool home favorites, -220. Spurs coming back 6-1 at the current price. The draw here is +390. I think a lot of times you've heard me say this throughout the season. There are just some teams that when they hit a certain number, you just should bet them, right? Like Tottenham at 6-1 is probably going to pay off those odds more than the odds imply. And I think that's the case here. I'll keep it simple. We've talked about this Liverpool team and the signals that are pointing that away from them. This is their 11th match in 35 days. They've been playing such high stakes soccer for basically since the new year. Just advanced to the Champions League final against Real Madrid. At some point, it's got to come undone. But they keep proving me wrong. But I'm going to try it again, and this time with a really good team, maybe the fourth best team in the league. So I'll take those odds on Tottenham any day. So Anthony, you're a Spurs fan. Off the pod, you were saying you might like Liverpool more than Spurs. You're having that internal debate. You might be jumping ship, it seems like. But do you see a path to success here for tip-top Tottenham?
Yeah, tip-top Tottenham. They were tip-top Tottenham on Sunday. I have never said that I like Liverpool more than Spurs. I would never say that. I just said I dislike Liverpool the least of all the top six teams from a personal point of view. I project Liverpool -190 here. They're sitting around -220. I do show a little bit of value on the over as well, but I'm going to be targeting both teams to score an over 2.5, parlayed together -105. I bet this the first time these two teams played, and it was a pretty easy win. Spurs dominated the match. They had 3.5 expected goals, which is the most anybody's put up on Liverpool this season. Now you have to kind of put a little asterisk there because one, Van Dijk did not play. The midfield for Liverpool was Morton, Milner, and Keita. So no Thiago, no Fabinho, no Henderson. They had a COVID issue, I think it was at the time. But Spurs also weren't playing, their best midfield. At the time, it might have been with Ndombele, Winks, and then Dele Alli. But now, of course, we're expecting Højbjerg, Bentancur to kind of hold down the fort in the middle. So it really comes down to Tottenham and how well they're able to exploit Liverpool's high line, because we've seen there's been some cracks with Liverpool when teams have been able to get in behind. They played a few teams where they completely dominated. Newcastle didn't really have a striker on the pitch for the first hour. I thought that was a weird approach from Eddie Howe, very defensive, kind of made it pretty easy for them. But Liverpool also dominated that match. And then we saw them against Villarreal. They struggled when they got pressed, but otherwise pretty good control of the match. So it really comes down to Kane coming short, drawing in the center backs, his ability to play with the ball at his feet, turn, send in Son, get the wing backs in, Kulusevski. I think that it's a pretty viable path. I mean, it may not come off. It doesn't always come off for Spurs, but when it does, they're a lethal transition attacking team, counter-attacking team. They can pick apart any defense in the world. So I agree with Michael. I do think Spurs are live here. I think they've got a good chance to get a result. Now, historically, they have not played well at Liverpool. If you go back through the history, ask any Spurs fan, it's been a lot of fluky losses, weird losses. They went to Anfield last year and kind of blew it in stoppage time. And then a couple of years ago was the Alderweireld own goal in stoppage time. And they've had some weird games there. But overall, I think Spurs are going to be in this match. I do think it probably ends, 2-1, 3-2 to Liverpool. I think they're definitely the better side, of course, at home. But if I did have to take a side, it would be Spurs plus a goal and a quarter. But yeah, I'm taking the both teams to score over 2.5 here.
Something that I think I overlooked with Tottenham in terms of like the big picture look at their entire season is they're now up to fourth in the Premier League in terms of creating expected goals. And that includes obviously their first, 2 or 3 months under Nuno. So their offense has really started to gel, or did start to gel under Antonio Conte, and never really slowed down. And we talked about how they were overperforming compared to the XG for quite a bit. So there is always that to worry about. But with Son, with Kane, there is always a path to success especially against Liverpool, a team that they do take risks, right? Like so Tottenham should have opportunities to counterpunch here. And like I said, when you get a number like this with a team this good, you just should take it. BJ, anything for you here? Reds, Spurs.
Yeah, I'm dead on with the projection here. I have minus 220 on Liverpool here at home. It's hard because I agree that Tottenham definitely has the counterattacking pieces to give Liverpool a lot of problems, but Tottenham is also a team that doesn't provide much resistance. They're bottom 5 in passes per defensive action. They're near the bottom in terms of high turnovers. And like we saw what Villarreal was able to do was to take the game right to them, press Liverpool, force them into making quick passes going forward. And, eventually Liverpool got through, but it caused them a lot of problems to begin with. With Tottenham not being able to do that, it concerns me that they're going to get pinned in for a large majority of this match. Now, again, like I already said, they have the pieces to be able to hit them on the counter, but I'm worried that Liverpool's just invincible. Like we saw a little chink in the armor in that first half. I know we were all just really pumped up about Villarreal, and then Liverpool, whatever the halftime talk was, whatever the conversation was, it worked because Villarreal didn't have a shot for the entire second half, and Liverpool completely dominated the match. So we're going on 13 straight home wins for Liverpool, around a plus 27 expected goal differential over that time frame. Just insane amount of dominance. And I mean, listen, they're healthy. They can rotate. They've been doing it for a long time now. I have some projected value on Liverpool minus 1.5 at plus 130. I have their spread at minus 1.44. So I do have some value on Liverpool. I'm going to wait on the market because the market is starting to tick down a little bit. Liverpool did open at minus 230. So they're down about 10 cents right now. We'll see if the market comes back on Tottenham a little more. But I will say this. I know the North London Derby is next Thursday. I think in terms of stakes, this is the highest stakes match maybe left on the calendar for the Premier League season, because whatever happens in this match, whether it be a draw or whoever wins, it almost eliminates one of the other teams from either the title race or the top 4. So this is about as big as it gets for a Premier League match this late in the season.
Yeah, one more thing I'll add is that I understand, Spurs haven't faced the midfield of Thiago, Henderson, and Fabinho, but I do think that there is that path that, as much as I worry about the Spurs back line, and I think they are due to concede some more goals, and they've run a little bit fortunate under Conte. Generally, when you look at the expected goals versus expected goals against, or rather goals against versus expected goals against, I do think Spurs have played well in the matches against City, in the match against Liverpool. I think that gives me some optimism for how they may fare on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, obviously Spurs, they don't need to win it necessarily, but they definitely need to get something out of this match. And of course, Liverpool need to win chasing City. And I don't know that City are going to even drop points, but now after today, I mean, who knows where City's mindset is at.